Hi everybody, hello, good morning, and I hope you're all safe and well, and welcome to my CPD session on whole class feedback and individual revision using Quizizz. Before we go much further, just going to give you a very quick overview of what Quizizz actually is, just in case you don't know. It is an online formative assessment tool. It's completely free. It's very useful for whole class feedback. There are other uses for it as well. Students can use it for revision, but generally speaking, whole class feedback. You can use it for homework and or assessments, and it's particularly useful at the moment when you are using distance learning with your students. And it's great for individual revision, so you can use quizzes and set them as individual little revision exercises for students to do. So before we kind of get much further with quizzes, some things that you're going to need to do before you start, some things we need to know. First of all, you do need a free account needed if you're going to actually create and set your own quizzes. That only takes a minute to set up, and I've included a link to that later in this presentation. You can use a school Google account to sign up if you want to, if you don't want to use personal information. Students do not need an account to play, so they can play any Quizizz game completely anonymously without having to share any personal data or information at all. Now, I'm just very quickly going to touch on Hoot, which is another online learning tool which some of you may have used or at least heard of. And for the sake of brevity, I'm not really going to go over the differences between the two because there are several. I have included this slide in the slideshow, which you can review later. I will share this slideshow with you, and if you want to look at, we'll go through some of the things there, the differences between the two. You can do, but as I said, for brevity, we won't now. But I do think that Quizizz is the superior at the moment. Right, just very quickly then, how I tend to use Quizizz is very straightforward. So if you look at a typical 4-week block of learning in a subject, so what I might well do if I have one lesson a week, what I might do is I might set a quiz topic at the end of the first lesson, and then in the second lesson I might set a second Quizizz, which includes both of the topics, that one that we've learned today and the one from previous week. I'll do the same thing in week 3, combining the previous 2 weeks learning and quizzes into a third one with all the new learning, and then a fourth Quizizz with all the topics combined. And if that sounds like a lot of work, it isn't, because all I'm doing each week is duplicating the same quiz and adding to it. And because Quizizz shuffles the questions and the responses around, students really do not feel like they are doing the same quiz, and they can't just use muscle memory to click on the right response each time. So that's how I tend to use it if I'm in school. Obviously, it's a bit different now we're out of school, but I can still do that. If I've set a topic that lasts for 4 weeks for distance learning, I can still use exactly the same method if I want to. So we're going to move to the kind of the bulk of the video now, because I'm going to give you a little demonstration of a number of things you can do in Quizizz. I will timestamp these things, so hopefully by the time you get this presentation or you see this video on YouTube, there'll be some timestamps to tell you how to get to the relevant section, so you don't have to sit and listen to me waffle Boris-like through the whole lot. So I'm going to go through, first of all, creating a quiz, and you're going to need to have an account set up before you can do that. How to write and set a question using the varied question types that Quizizz offers. It does actually offer more question types than Kahoot does. It's one of its major advantages. How to do what we call teleporting a question, so nicking a question from somebody else's quiz and putting it in yours. Looking at collections very quickly. Analytics, which is one of the most powerful things about Quizizz, because you can look at the results of a quiz and really kind of drill down into the learning that's happening in your lesson and your particular topic to see what students do and don't understand. And finally, how to set and play a quiz. So as I said, I will timestamp these things so you can go to specific bits, or if you really haven't got anything better to do, you can watch the rest of the video all in one go, where I'm going to go through all of these topics in sequence. The final thing to mention is you're going to need this link. I've made it an easy link to remember and to use. You can either pause the video or take this from the presentation if you want to. That will allow you to create your account. Remember, you can't create a quiz until you've done that. Your students have 3 methods of accessing a quiz. Like, you can either share a link to the quiz, share it on Google Classroom, or give them this browser address to type in. They can actually just type in "join my quiz" and it will take them straight to Quizizz. So, as I say, we're going to move on to the bulk of the video now, which is going to show you Quizizz up and running, and let's get started. Okay, so I'm now in Quizizz. This is my own area. I've logged in. You will have to, as I said, log in, have created an account and logged in, and this is all the quizzes that I've created. I've created a lot over the time that I've been using it, and we're going to focus initially on how you can get started and make a quiz of your own. So you can see at the top left of the screen, and you can see that there's a create a new quiz button. So I click that, and first of all I name it. So I'm just going to call this one Quizizz CPD. We're not going to build a full one, and then you can choose relevant subjects. So I'm going to tick professional development, and then I move into the quiz editor. Now it gives a quiz quality score first of all on the right hand side, and that's only because it kind of rates it based on what you've included. So if you can give your quiz like a title image, header image, you can paste one in or paste an image link in or drag and drop. Select the grades. So we're professionals, allegedly, so we're going to set professional development and the visibility of your quizzes. I always set mine public. I'm happy to share mine, but you don't have to. So I'm not going to add a quiz image, and then add at least 4 questions. So you can see Quizizz actually just added more question types to their editor. So you've got multi-choice, checkbox, which is if you want multiple multi-choice answers to be correct, fill in the blank, so missing word, poll is just that, so the voting quiz, and open-ended, where you wouldn't actually use that as an assessed question. You might use that to do that as a plenary or an exit ticket or something based on what students learn. But if we just click, let's just click new question, and then we're going to go multiple choice, and I'm going to write the name of my question here, and I'm going to do, let's just do one, which is the best online learning assessment tool, and then I can simply put my options in here. So I can put Quizizz as my first option, Kahoot as my second, and let's just put a third in Quizlet. You don't have to use all of them, and you can add additional ones if you want to. See, I don't actually want to. Notice that if I wanted to as well, I could add a math equation. So I could put an equation builder there, which you wouldn't have a clue how to use. And I could put images or audio in as possible options in my quiz as well, which is brilliant. What I can do then, I just choose the option that's correct. Now I'm going to put, I think it's Quizizz, well, and then I could just save the question and it's done. Now, the final thing is what I might want to do is allocate a time limit. If you don't want your quiz to have time limit, you can set that when you actually set the whole quiz later on. So I'm just going to set that to 60 seconds. Now, if I actually think there might be 2 correct responses here because Kahoot's great. I can go to here, change it to checkbox, and now I can set 2 correct responses like that. And then I save that, and my first question is in. Let's just add one more. Let's just add the let's just do an open-ended question. So I could just type in what did you learn today, and very simple kind of exit ticket thing, and it'll tell again. I could put math or media in if I wanted to, but when I do it, it will what did I learn today, and actually won't mark that question. Students can just type a response in. Now teleport is really useful if you've got to make a quiz in a hurry. So if I was doing a quiz, first of all, you'll notice that it uses your quiz title to pull up questions, quizzes and questions that other people have written. Now, somebody else has done a Quizizz CPD here, and I could just nick a question from theirs very easily, and then I can do just pinch these and There we go, getting rid of that. And then when I'm done, I go back to here, and now very quickly I've got a 5-question quiz. And so if I'm now done, click done, and the quiz is done. It's saved and set to my Quizizz. So that's really, really straightforward. Hopefully you find that straightforward. I could, if I was in a desperate hurry, even look for a quiz that somebody had done. You notice there's a find a quiz option here, and literally search for quizzes on any topic does exactly what you would think it would do. So pretty much there are thousands and thousands of quizzes here that you shared, so you're bound to find something. One thing, I'm going to go back to my quizzes here for a minute, because one thing that's very useful, you can see I've got quite a lot, and I've built something called collections here. And a collection is just simply a means of organizing your quizzes into something a little bit more of a coherent order. So you can see, for instance, GCSE computer, I've got over 30, A-level is 23, and I can assign anything I want. So if I do create a collection and call it CPD, like that, I can create a collection. And then if I want to add that, I can just Quizizz CPD to that. I just click save, and then I look for collection, and now it's added that to my CPD folder. There you can see I've now got a folder called CPD. Click in there, and the Quizizz CPD is in there. So that's really, really easy. And I can copy quizzes, I can duplicate them, I can even copy other people's quizzes and edit those. Just if I want to add additional questions, change them, I can share the collections. Very, very, very straightforward. Right, now one thing we're going to just look at next, I think, is the analytics and the idea of classes as well. So you can see on the left hand side we've got reports and classes. One of the great things, and I think you can also do this in Hoot, is you can import your classes in via Google Classroom. So if you have Google Classroom, you can create a Quizizz class, which means you can then create a quiz in Quizizz and set it in Google Classroom. So I could create a class, and I could do it manually, but I would always do it myself with Google Classroom, and I can link. There's an option when you start out to link your Google Classroom with it, so you can see all my classes down the side. I've already done that. Reports is incredibly useful. This is the deep dive. This is your reports of the quizzes that your students have done. This one is just a practice one I was mucking about with earlier, so I can actually get rid of that report. I don't want it. But for instance, here is when I set my students, my A-level group, as part of their distance learning. Tells me that there were 10 players, which is good because there's 10 students in the group. Open up the quiz, and you can see it starts to give me stats. There's statistics on accuracy. There were 29 questions and 10 students did it. If I want to, I can download this as a spreadsheet, and it will give me a breakdown of what questions each student got right and which students got wrong. I can sort this by accuracy, by name if I want to. So if I look at Rohan's attempt here, Rohan got one question wrong, which was this one, and so I know he got 97% correct, 3% incorrect. And as I go down, what I can look at, I can even look on the questions, and I can give it a question by question breakdown, which gives me some idea, obviously, of what my students know and what they don't know, or at least based on what this Quizizz told them. So that's really very, very handy. Standards, unfortunately, are based on the American standards, education standards, so nothing particularly useful in the UK, but I have emailed Quizizz to see if they're going to add some UK standards in there as well, and I'm hopeful that they will do. So there is questions and players. Again, just tells me who was in there, and let's just show you what happens then if I do download it. Let's just see what you get. Click the download, and then automatically downloads an Excel document, and if I do that, it does it into my downloads folder. And hopefully what will happen in a moment is, it's taking its sweet time doing it, is it will download an Excel spreadsheet. And in fact, it has done it. Let's put it here. and there you go. So red and green to colour code where the students got things right or wrong, and it obviously enables me to get a really good idea if there are some problems with particular topics. So the idea is here, asynchronous transmission is a question that a few of them seem to have got wrong, so clearly something that I need to revise them with them when we go back into school. So we've had a look very quickly at creating. We've had a look at the idea of what classes are and collections. Memes I would not worry about. My quizzes we've looked at as well, how to organise and sort your quizzes out. Let's look at the last little bit of this video now. It's a very long video, how to set a quiz. So very, very straightforward. Let's see what happened if we wanted to set our Quizizz CPD. So if I click this, I've got a number of options. I've got Play Live, which if you're in a lesson is what you probably use. If I click Play Live, I'll give the option where you can have teams and it will group their scores depending on what team they're in. Classic is just standard. Students have their own pace, competing individually, and you can set it as a test. And that's something which I actually don't tend to use formally with students very often. You can assign it to classes if you want. If I want to assign it to a class, I could do that. And because I've connected it to Classroom, I can do that and it will appear as an assignment on Classroom. And not only will it do that, it will collate the marks in Classroom as well. And I can name that, and I won't set an assignment because it will confuse them, so I won't do it. And I can configure things like showing the answers in game. So I can give them instant feedback, showing them after the game, whether you want a timer. A lot of students don't like the timers. So I often switch those off, because if you want low stake testing, you actually switch the timer off. And these are in the advanced settings. Shuffle the questions and answers is very useful. So I could set it as that. I'm not going to. The other options I've got, then, like I said, we've got assign homework, and I can give a deadline and when it's going to be done by, a time. Again, I can assign it in Classroom, and I've got all of the options underneath there that I had when I was setting it individually. And then the last option I've got is solo practice. Now, this is really useful because this is just what I use for revision. And I have a revision website for computing for GCSE and A-level. And for each topic, I share all the lesson quizzes that we've done and on the website, so the students can play them at their own pace. So all that means, you click share link, I can share it on Classroom or even Teams or Twitter, or I can simply just copy a link. And the great thing is the links do not expire, so it stays there forever. Once you set it, it's set for good, and it does not generate a score or report. So if I copy a link like that, that's now on my clipboard, and I can paste that wherever I want to. But I know, because I've had feedback from my Year 11s, I've run 13s, that they find that feature really, really useful. The facility to be able to review a quiz at their own pace and use it for learning. So that is really a whistle-stop tour through Quizizz. I hope you've managed to find something useful in that. If you've got any questions, feel free to drop me a message, email me, have a chat. Absolutely happy to chat with you. This is a tool that I know my students really enjoy using, and I found incredibly useful. And now that we are stuck at home and our students are out of our sight and not out of our minds, but out of our sight, it's something which I've managed to use regularly to get some idea of how they're getting on. So good luck, stay safe, and I hope to see you all